All right, guys, welcome to another case study interview. Welcome, Rahul.
Good to be here.
Welcome back, bro. It's good to
Yes,
have you here.
sir. Good to be on again. I think it's been like, what, 10, 11 months since we last had one?
It's been some time. It's been some time. And the reason is, for those that don't have the context, we're doing another case study interview to celebrate a massive month that you had just last month. So you want to go ahead and tell the guys as well how much commissions you did last month or last 30 days.
Yeah, so from October 1st to 31st, I had my first 33K USD month. So that's US dollars and all done within 31 days. And it's a record for me and the most I've made in the span of a month, which is super cool to see. Because I think, Connor, the last time we met and had this chat, I think I had just cracked maybe 9, 10K a month.
Mm,
So
yeah,
it's been some time.
yeah. And lots has changed across the journey. And I think so far from what I can recollect, that's the highest like result that we've gotten inside the RSA. So I wanted to get you on to revisit for I guess the value for the guys on the YouTube channel, like what you've learned along the journey, what your biggest lessons have been, and more of like an inspiring piece because like as we spoke about just before you got on, a lot of guys that are from non-English speaking countries reach out to me all the time saying that I've watched Rahul's interview, I've watched Kash's interview, and it's super inspiring.
Mm.
So I'd love to just kind of give back and give as much value as we possibly can from all the learnings you've had because that income is the top 1% in the space, which is definitely pretty
Yeah.
uncommon. So, dude, let's start off talking about what's actually led to that massive month. Like, what's changed since our last interview, if you can remember.
Yeah, so I mean it's been a super long journey for me. Like even if you ask Connor, he'd tell you the first time me and him met when I was enrolling in the RSA, I was a totally different person to the guy I am today. Very fearful back then, didn't really have much faith in this whole online money thing working. And as time has progressed, as I've learned more and more, as I've developed, I've got into this 33K month, but it's not like I've just got there suddenly off the bat, right? There's been different processes I've gone through, different stages I've gone through. Like, for example, if you're a student in the RSA, you can, search my name in the community, go through all my posts from the beginning. And if you literally search from my oldest post to the newest post, you'll see I've recorded literally everything. So you'll see me landing my first ever offer, my first 2K month, transitioning from appointment setter to closer, having my first 7K month, 10K month, 15, 20, 25, 33. So it's all documented in the RSA. It's not like I've suddenly just landed up here. I've gone through literally all the stages to get to this point. So I've gone through the shit and now I've come to this point. So it's been an amazing journey, and to be under Connor's guidance along this has been fantastic.
Yeah, and because when we first recorded like the last case study interview, you were in a different account. So it was
Yeah.
the biggest transition from when you were back then to the type of business that you work for now that's led to that increase in commissions.
Yeah. So when me and Connor last spoke, I believe it was in, I think, March time. I
Mm,
was selling on an account where I was making roughly 8 to 10K per month. It was within that range. And then what ended up happening is the high ticket sales space is quite turbulent. It's very dynamic. It changes a lot day to day. And what ended up happening was I was very comfortable on that offer I was selling, making 8 to 10K per month. And randomly one day, what ended up happening was the boss of the company, he called all the guys working on the account for a call. We all met one by one, and I was just told, the boss is in a bad health condition and he just can't keep up running the offer anymore. So they're ending it right there and then. So on that day, I literally went from 8 to 10K per month in income to zero in 24 hours. And that
mm,
literally just shows how turbulent the space was, because while I was there, I was very comfortable on that offer. I was, making 8 to 10K per month. And at that time, it was the most I'd ever made. Right. So I was very comfortable. I felt on top of the world. And to go from that to the offer ending was huge for me. Like, I won't lie to you guys. I was in tears. Like I was on the phone with the boys and I was literally in tears saying like, what am I gonna do now? Like, I don't know what's next for me. And literally, I guess the universe was helping me or, God was helping me, but towards me getting losing that offer and that offer ending, what I actually been doing is I was already applying for other offers because in the back of my mind, I wanted to land a second offer, right? So it was just in time, it was meant to be that I was doing it at the same time. And as soon as this offer ended, I kid you not, guys, I go to sleep upset. I'm very upset that I've just lost 7, 8K in income. The next morning, I wake up, I get an email saying you've landed the offer. And this is one offer I applied for, and it was my dream offer. So in 24 hours, I lost an offer and I landed another offer. And I'm so grateful that happened because if that offer had never ended, that 8 to 10K offer, I would have never left it. So it was like the universe forced me because I get very comfortable and I don't like change too much. And for for the high ticket sales space, change is something you need all the time.
100%. And I know how that feels losing an offer because it can feel like pretty much your whole career has just gone to complete shambles and you've gone back to scratch and zero. What and like a lot of clients go through that as well because
Yeah.
high ticket sales is a space for typically younger people. I talk
Yeah.
about this a lot in my YouTube videos, which is that if you're a bit older and you have more responsibilities, you have a mortgage to take care of, you have, you know, a wife, a husband, kids, things like that, it can be quite difficult to navigate because, like you said, the
Yeah.
industry can be quite turbulent. But also with that turbulence, if you have the right skills and you operate and navigate in the right way, you can make a lot of money quite quickly in a 6 month to a year time frame and build a good career out of it. But you need to be able to have the skills to navigate the space because, as you've kind of shown, you went from one offer to another. But because you'd already built that brand equity and you built your personal brand, you built a pipeline of offers, you went from an offer that you were making 8 to 10K a month to now an offer where you have the opportunity to make, 33K US a month and upwards.
Yeah.
It's pretty
And
crazy.
And what that, really shows, Connor, is look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My skill set or how good I was at sales didn't change from offer one to offer two. No change in my skill set. It's not like I was better on this offer than I was on this offer. The only thing that changed to take me from 8 to 10K to this 33K month was just the offer. My skill set is at that same level. I've not become better at sales. I mean, naturally, I am gonna get better, but it's not dramatically changed where I've become much better. The only change that occurred was my offer. So for a lot of you guys, sitting back watching this today, what I will tell you is a lot of you guys are very concerned with your skill set, how good you are at, eliciting pain, urgency in your discovery, how good you are at objection handling. And while it is important, guys, to become good at, your skill set and becoming good at closing deals, what I will tell you guys and what will impact your income the most is more times than not, it's going to be the opportunity you're on or the offer you're on. So if there's one thing you want to focus on, it's definitely going to be your offer. It's the same thing like losing weight, right? So for a lot of fat guys or overweight guys, a lot of them are under the impression that, if they just go to the gym, they just exercise, they're going to lose weight. But what they don't realize is 80% of the weight loss equation is going to come down to your diet, where the 20% is going to come down to your exercise. Same thing with sales. 80% of your income is going to be dependent on your offer. 20% will be dependent on your skill set. So with that in mind, you guys know exactly what to focus on.
Absolutely. We talk about that all the time in the YouTube channel and in the RSA as well. I think it takes a long time for a lot of guys to realize that and understand that.
Yeah.
What have you observed, looking at people that you know in the industry, RSA, right? Just the high ticket sales community as a whole, as like the misunderstanding between skills and opportunity? Like, what have you seen that, like, as far as like people that you're surrounded with, like, what does it
Yeah.
actually look like as far as like people not making the income that they want to? Because again, 33K US a month is, some of the top 1% of the space. So like, what have you seen as being the impact of people around you that don't understand that concept?
So what I've seen, time and time again, obviously I'm quite active on Facebook. So I see guys outside the RSA community. I see guys in the RSA community, and a lot of guys, who've not gotten to where they want to go in terms of income. Most of the time they're under the impression that they just don't have the enough training. They don't have enough training. They don't know enough. A lot of them think they're just missing a piece of information. So for a lot of guys, Connor, I'm sure you see this, more than me, but a lot of guys think I just need to get better at objection handling. I need to know this word track. I need to know that word track. I need to invest in this coach. This coach is getting a lot of results for his students, but it's not about your skill set, guys. It's a very simple thing to grasp. And I won't lie, it took me long to grasp this, but Connor's been telling me this since day one. Focus on becoming very good at landing offers and you will never be broke. You don't need to be the best salesperson ever, because when you're on a good offer, guys, that offer will sell itself. You don't need to objection handle, hard close someone into a sale. When you're on a good offer and someone can see the value being delivered by that offer, they will buy regardless of what you say. And that's what I've noticed. So focus on getting a good offer. Obviously, still focus on your sales skills. But once you're on a good offer, you will naturally be closing more because the offer sells itself. And that's what I strongly believe. And I think that one understanding has taken me from, 7, 8K a month to that 10, 15, 20, and 30. And I think what I've noticed, Connor, and you've probably seen this as well, what I've noticed is a common denominator amongst, the top students in the RSA is a lot of them just, blindly believe in offer over skill set. That's the biggest thing that I've seen.
100%. Yeah, I think for full context, so for those of you that don't understand as well, Rahul is on what I like to call like an order taking offer, right? The one that
Yeah.
he's on right now. People come for a solution, the marketing is great, the pain is very high, and
Mm,
there really isn't much sales that really needs to be done, right? People, you offer exactly what people want, and they are ready credit card in hand, because it's basically what they're buying is like a cheat, basically, is what they're doing, from my understanding.
exactly.
So it is very much, I show up to calls, I don't have to do much sales, and people will just buy from me. Now, your addition of experience and your skill level has massively increased your commissions, like to the top of the team, I'm sure. Are you at the top?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure that a lot of the people on the offer don't really realize how good they have it, and they haven't developed their skills, and they're not very sales savvy in that aspect.
Yeah.
Um, so that was the context there, as well as like my 2 cents on this whole thing is that, as I always talk about, offer acquisition isn't a complete substitution for skill. Like, I understand that. We all understand that, right? I've worked with mentors, and I've spent a lot of money on coaching and sales training. But if there's one key takeaway that anyone's going to get from this interview, is that save your money, save the multiple 5 figures that you're going to spend on sales training, save the time, save the weeks, months, and years of wasted time, save the opportunity costs that you're going to waste, and just realize that 70 to 80 equation really honestly truly comes down to your offer. Like, it just is. There is no way you can convince me otherwise. There's no way that you can convince Rahul otherwise. It is
Yeah.
just simply facts. It's not an opinion. I've been doing this for 5 years. And I think a lot of young guys that enter the space, either in RSA or just high ticket sales space in general, constantly get sold into that narrative and the psyop that sales training is just, the more that you get, the more that you make, but it's just simply not the case.
Yeah.
Understand? You go ahead.
And what I'll say even to that is the way I see it, the simple equation to win at sales, it consists of a couple parts. Number
Mm,
one, if you want to succeed at sales, you need to master the skill of offer acquisition. So if you know how to get offers on repeat, okay, that's one piece of the puzzle. The second piece of the puzzle is you want to have a general framework for a sales call and have a good understanding of that, how to go through an entire sales call, and you want to have basic objection handling skills. If you can master these three different things, you will win at sales. And obviously, I've simplified it to that degree. But if you can just focus on offer acquisition, knowing exactly how to sell, basic objection handling skills, you will be sorted and you will be able to make money. That's all it is.
absolutely. Yeah. And there's two parts to that. One bit off of earlier, just on the sales training thing, is that too many people get that don't understand that the whole sales training business is based on the premise that you're going to always need to buy more sales training. So
Yeah,
that's the whole business. That's how they make money. So I just wanted to touch on that just there. Um, but no, I completely agree. As well as at the back end of that as well is a relentless work ethic in that equation, I believe, because
absolutely.
you know making the money that you make right now, like what does your day even look like? How many hours do you work, right? Like what does your day actually look like, just to give the guys context?
So the way I structure my life is in two parts. So there's the weekdays and there's the weekends, and I separate both of them. And pretty much my weekdays look identical to each other. So I'm pretty much working from the minute I wake up to the minute I sleep, and I'll take 1 hour out of my day for the gym. But other than that, I don't do anything else aside from work, gym, and sleep. And I don't want to do anything else either. So if friends are calling me to go out, hang out, drink, party, that can all that's all a no for me weekdays. Weekends, I like to chill out a bit. I don't really work too hard on weekends because with the amount I work on weekdays, I need that, 2 day break on the weekend to just recharge and get back into it. Otherwise, I would lose my mind. But pretty much I don't do anything else on weekdays besides work, gym, and sleep. Weekends, I like to chill out a bit and take it easy. But that's sort of what it looks like for me.
And is that how it's looked like over the past year and a bit? Like, is that pretty much was what your lifestyle's been like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing else.
The thing I want people to understand, as I talked about with Shelley's interview and all my top clients, is that the work that's gone behind creating this result is work that you'll never see, right? The law of accumulation. The law of accumulation states that success, financial success, or any big achievement is the result of hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of small incremental actions over a long period of time that no one will ever see or appreciate. No one's
Yeah,
ever going to see the hundreds of nights I've spent working on sales. No one's ever going to see the hundreds of days and hours that you've spent working behind a desk, sitting behind a computer, and just putting in the work. Whether or not it was to do with sales skills, taking sales calls, studying and becoming really good at offer acquisition. No
mhm.
one will ever see that. And the only thing that will ever see is the big result, which is the big month that you've just had. I think
Yeah,
it's very important for so many people to realize that before high ticket sales, you did other things and
yeah.
you saw what was required to be successful and you took it by the balls and you did it. So I would love if you could give some clarification on like the work that you required to win.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a bit of context into my story and what that's looked like. So I had started this whole online money journey back in, I'd say 2017, 2018. And back then I was trying everything from, drop shipping, from SMMA. I've tried affiliate marketing. I used to sell products over Instagram. And to be very honest, nothing really worked for me. I barely made any cash. And I had gone through all these different business models and all of them not working. It sort of shattered my confidence in online money. And essentially, I was at a point where I was just about to graduate from university. And I had a decision to make at that point in time. The decision I had to make was number one, I could either go to a 9 to 5, or number two is I can figure out this online money thing and make it happen. Now, I knew internally if I went to the 9 to 5, it would be very hard for me to get out and figure this online money thing and transition completely. So, what I said to myself was, this is my last chance to make this work. So, what I had done is something I'd never done before. So, like I said, I tried drop shipping, I tried SMMA, I tried all these different business models, and they all failed. And what was the common denominator when I had failed? I had tried doing it on my own. I tried figuring it out on my own. Now I was at a crossroads in my life where I had to either go to a 9 to 5 or figure out this online money thing. So I was at a really urgent position. And my thought was, look, I've tried drop shipping, I've tried SMMA, it's not worked, right? if I try this remote sales thing, more likely than not, it's not going to work because my track record, I failed every time, right? So I heavily operate with the principle doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And what did I do over and over again in my past attempts? I kept trying to figure it out on my own, right? So I said, you know what, remote sales, let me try something different. Let me do something I haven't done so I can get a different result. And the thing that I chose to do that was different is work with a coach, work with a mentor, have some guidance. And what I will tell you guys is having a coach, having the guidance, having a community around me, it's really gotten me this far. And I really attribute all my success. And I tell Connor this time and time again that I owe every success I've had in my life to him. Like without Connor, there's no Rahul. He made me. This guy completely made me. And I proudly admit that.
I appreciate that, man. Very kind words.
Yeah.
Um, what do you feel like has been the biggest impact of working with me and having, I guess, me alongside your journey? Like, what do you feel like has been the most effective, or what do you feel like were the key changes by being as a part of a mentorship that really allowed you to get the result you're looking for?
I think you've done a couple things really well with the program. Number one, I think you've designed the community amazingly. Like the guys in the community are such awesome guys. Like, you know, my group within the community. Like I
Mm.
pretty much have a group that I speak with very regularly that are all from the RSA. And the crazy thing is, Connor, every single guy in that group that I hang out with, all at minimum 10, 15K a month. So I surround myself with such high level guys that it keeps forcing me every day to want to achieve more and more and more. And they all keep me on my toes, so I can't settle, right? Second
Mm.
thing I think you've done really well is in terms of the training, you've laid it out very simply on exactly what one needs to do to go from zero to that 10K per month mark. And I think you've laid it out in a very, step-by-step process that makes it very easy to follow. And I think I said this on our last chat, but it comes to a point in the training, guys, where you don't have questions to ask Connor because he's essentially answered everything, every question you possibly could have in the training. So at times I would struggle even, thinking of questions to ask Connor because he's already given you all the answers in the training. So I think you've done that really well as well. But I think the community was the best part of the training for sure.
I appreciate that. And so, what do you feel like the impact has been as far as like having that community? And like you mentioned, like it raises your standards, it keeps you from being comfortable. Because I
Mm,
think that's something to really like. I'll touch on why I think it's important, and then I would love to hear the impact it's had on you. But to me, when you're trying to figure out making money online, it seems like the most impossible task ever. Seems very
yeah,
daunting. Everybody talks about the million gazillion business models that could work for you, should work for you, and you should be doing. And it's really easy to get lost because from where I'm from, at least, there's nobody that was doing making money online. It was the only guy that was doing it. I'm sure it was somewhat similar for you as well, right? There's
exactly the same. Yeah,
yeah, there's very few people that are doing it. And so you don't see any proof of concept of, okay, this is possible. I don't know anyone personally that's actually done this. And like it even draws back to before you even joined as well, right?
yeah,
Messaging multiple people before you join the training, right? Because
yeah,
it's hard to trust people online when there is such little proof of concept and results. But when you don't have someone who's been there and done that, who is relatable and is a real person, not just some crazy marketer with
yeah.
Ferraris and Lambos, although that might be very exciting, it's like, is there someone that you can relate to that you feel is real, that has experienced the transformation that you're trying to experience? In joining with that, when you have people who are on the way to achieving what you want to achieve or have already achieved it or many steps ahead, that makes a very dramatic difference to how you think, your belief systems, your implementation, how hard you work, because you can
100%.
you can see it around you. So, what do you feel like has been the biggest impact by not just raising your standard, but everything else from having a good community?
Yeah, so what I'll tell you guys is, when I was on the other side of this, for example, there was a point in time when I had just found out about Connor for the first time, He didn't know me. I didn't know him. I was going through his YouTube. I was watching the testimonials already on his channel. So when I was on that side of the fence, it's very hard to believe this online money thing actually works when you see nothing around you, right? Like for me, living in Hong Kong, it's a very much 9 to 5 hustle mindset here where everyone just, goes to college, gets a job, retires, and that's life, right? So for me, I didn't see anyone doing online money in Hong Kong. So it was a very foreign concept to me. And when you don't see it around you, it becomes very hard to believe in it, very hard to trust that, oh, this is a real thing. And I imagine that's what a lot of you guys face who might be watching this today because you aren't exposed to it. But obviously now, Connor, being in a community where I'm surrounded by all these guys, who make money, I see guys making, 30, 40, 50K per month. So in my head, I've accepted already that this is possible, this is achievable. But back then, when we had first met each other back in, 23, um, for me, I didn't believe it. It just seemed so unconceivable. It seemed so out of the ordinary, right?
Mm,
And now for me, this feels like my normal, right? Being in a nine
yeah.
to five feels abnormal to me. It feels weird. Like I find it very strange that some people just work 9 to 6 and then they just relax the whole day and do nothing else. Like I find that very weird. Like I find it weird that people just don't work from the minute you wake up to the minute you sleep. That's like become my normal now. So I think the
Mm,
more you get exposed to the online money space, you meet guys who are doing the same thing, your brain and starts accepting it more, and you feel it's actually achievable, right? And for me, guys, I heavily operate with law of attraction. I really believe in law of attraction, manifestation. And if you cannot believe if something is achievable, if you don't physically believe that you can achieve 10K per month, it's very rare that you are going to achieve it. So I put myself in a position where I surrounded myself with such killers, guys who are making so much more money than me, that my brain subconsciously started to accept that, yes, this was possible. You can do this. I think because I believed in it, because I accepted, I had manifested it into my life.
absolutely. And I think that as cringy and as cliche as it is, you are the sum, the mean, or the average of the five people you spend the most time with. And for a lot of you that are watching, that was inclusive of myself, way back when, 5 years ago. I didn't have anybody that I was close to or that I knew in person, but the important role of having a community is you can have them digitally, right?
Yeah,
Rahul and I have never met in person, right? Maybe we will next year in Dubai,
we
looking forward
will.
to that. But, you can form those connections and build those relationships and have that circle and that community not presently with you in person if you can't do so, right? That's the whole importance of being as a part of a community because it's not just the training, the information, the coaching, all type of stuff. It's all super important. But that's why I've constantly tried to manufacture and nurture a community inside the RSA where we have the best people. We have people that you get along with. We have, your own little cliques that you'll find inside the RSA, different little groups. Whether or not you're from the UK or international, or you relate with more US people or Australian people, like we've got guys from all over.
Yeah.
And I think I was talking to, some of the boys that I met in Dubai just over the weekend about this, which was that the reason I think we have such high quality people in the community is the whole RSA has been built off of word of mouth and organic.
Yeah.
And the YouTube channel attracts the right people with the right values so that again that you get along with them and they are, very similar to like yourself.
And you know what I'll add to that, Connor? I think the coolest thing ever is like now I can travel to any country in the world pretty much. And wherever I go, I know people there now. This was not a thing for me back then. Like back then, when I used to travel, I used to go to a country, I didn't know anyone. Today, if I go to Europe, I go to America, I go to Australia, I go to Dubai, I know people there. Like I got friends there already. So I think this is a very underrated thing as well about being in such a nice community.
Absolutely. And being in a space where you can find and meet people and build relationships with people because that I mean through online and remote work because I was the same, when I arrived to Dubai, at the beginning of this year or October last year, I had many people that I already knew that lived
Yeah.
here. If I came here completely by myself and I knew nobody, it might have been a lot more isolating. But um, I know people all across the world, like you just mentioned, in all the places that you talked about.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel like over the past year, or at least since our last interview, like what has it been like to be able to be a bit more flexible and travel? I know that you've been to Thailand and a couple of different places.
Yeah.
What's that been like over the last couple of months?
Yeah, I mean, the freedom you get with remote sales is unmatched, or even just online money in general, right? So like over this last year, I live in Hong Kong and I've probably been in Hong Kong for only, I think, 2 or 3 months for the entire year so far. So I've been out of Hong Kong most of the time. And I'll be very honest, guys, while traveling is very cool and, hopping from country to country is really cool, it got to a point where I got tired of it. I won't lie. It gets tiring. I think Connor, you'll agree with this as well. And I've pretty much come to a point now where I just want to find one place, just settle down there and just do my shit from there pretty much. I don't want to just be hopping around too much. I don't like living really the suitcase lifestyle too much, but it was
Yeah.
fun for a period of time, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think it's glorified quite a bit, and it's very exciting to when you first do it. But
Yeah,
you get over it pretty quickly. Especially if you're in something like high ticket sales as well, as like you have a bit of a schedule with you. So it is annoying to kind of mold to like another place every single week, every single month, and be traveling
yeah,
around, new people, new environments, new routines, new places. It gets exciting, but then it dies down afterwards, which
yeah.
I know for a lot of you guys listening as well, that might be your dream lifestyle. And look, you will, if you get to make money online and you do well, you will experience it. But it is definitely a phase I think a lot of guys go through when they first start making money online.
And you know what I'll tell you guys, and I'll add on to that. You probably watching this think we're stupid for saying we got bored of traveling. It's the same thing, when people who are really rich say, money doesn't have happiness. You never know that until you experience it yourself, right? So when I was at zero, I used to see people say, I'm done with traveling. I used to say that's nonsense. How can you be bored of traveling? And you only really know until you experience it. So I guess it's something you have to experience before you have your opinion on it, right?
100%. And if we were to shift to talking about, English being, you know, people's second language, you having an accent as well. I think a lot of guys watch the YouTube channel and these case studies, and they look up as inspiration as to someone who has an accent, and not being from like a primary English speaking country.
Yeah.
I was curious on like what your suggestions would be for those of the guys that are watching that have English as a second language, or they have a bit of an accent, or they're from XYZ country, right?
Yeah.
What main advice would you give those guys who are looking to get started in the space or already are in high ticket sales?
Yeah. So, me being an Indian myself, we have a lot of guys in the high ticket space who are from India who come into the industry. And a lot of them, I'm sure, reach out to you, reach out to me. And they mention a lot of times that, they struggle with their accent. And a very big thing in the high ticket sales space is they want someone sounding British, American, or having like no accent if possible, right? And the thing is, with a lot of Indian speaking countries, a lot of them do possess an accent and it can be quite strong at times. Like even for me, guys, while I might speak good English, there is a slight bit of accent that still comes out of me, but I don't let it affect my work or my opportunities. So in terms of recommendation, while I've never had too much of an issue with accent or even speaking English, the things that I can recommend is immerse yourself as much as you can with the language and become very accustomed to it. Try to speak as much as you can in English as opposed to your native language. So what I would recommend, guys, is number one, try to watch as many English movies as possible. Just understand how actors speak, how actresses speak, and get a gauge on it. So I recommend watching movies. That's really helpful. Listen to English speaking songs, listen to podcasts, books in English. I would even say practice conversing in English quite regularly. See how maybe people you want to emulate speak, try to copy how they speak as well. But guys, I want to reiterate this to you guys. You can't improve your accent in a matter of a day. It's a process that you will go through, but it's all about putting in the correct inputs. And over time, your accent will improve. And if you want it bad enough, you will put in the effort to improve it. So that's my
Yeah,
recommendation.
I think that's great advice. And for those of you that are watching that, English is your second language, or you're from some country that has a thicker accent, right? Whether it's Nigeria, whether it's India, wherever it is, just understand that, as I explained to all the guys that are from those backgrounds that booking calls with me,
Yeah,
success with high ticket sales is still possible, but it's just going to be more harder for you than a traditional English speaker. There
yeah,
is absolutely no way that it's impossible, because I've seen many people do it. There's two showcases examples for that as well. I mean, there's a few guys inside the RSA, but you can look up on YouTube Marco Cortesi. He's one of like the CEOs or CFOs or
yeah,
CMOs of Seventh Level, which is a big sales training company. Um, he's Italian with a very thick accent, with English being his second language. It's still quite broken as well. And he made 1 million in straight commissions in 2020, right? In the high ticket sales space. You've got Bogdan Mikov, which again, you can go and, take a look at his stuff off this video if you'd like to. But, he makes a lot of commissions as well, with English again being his second language, his Macedonian, and he has a very, very thick accent. But
yeah,
I think a lot of people let the limiting beliefs consume them, and view it as more of a barrier than an advantage. And
yeah,
I coach a lot of clients that have English as their second language. They maybe have a bit of broken English, or even they have a thick accent. I would encourage those that are listening or watching that are from a different background, and do have an accent, these type of things. Um,
yeah. And
don't limit yourself is a big thing.
And what I would add on to that is, guys, we're not going to lie to you here. If, English is your second language, you do have a bit of an accent. It is going to be harder for you in high ticket sales. There's no doubt about it. But
Mm,
what other option is there, right? Are you going to let having an accent stop you from, making the money you want to make? Are you going to let it be a barrier for you? What I would say is accept that, okay, it is going to be harder for you. Figure out how you can overcome these challenges and overcome them. Because what's the other option, guys? Going to a 9 to 5? Or would you rather just work on your accent and use it to your advantage, essentially, right? There's no
mm.
plan B, guys. Plan B is going to a 9 to 5, and you cannot let that happen. So just accept that it is going to be harder, work through that challenge and overcome it. And naturally, 6 months down the line, you'll thank yourself for working on it, right? It's all
Yeah,
about just accepting and not letting a limiting belief hold you back.
absolutely. And the reason I bring this up is I think a lot of people will be inspired from what you said, coming that, you've got an accent. I know I don't have, well, I mean, I have an accent. Everyone has an accent, right? That's always
Yeah,
the argument, right? But if you have broken English, it's all about practicing. You look at guys like Safi as well. When he first came to me, he couldn't speak a lick of English. Now
he's an
he's
inspiration.
Yeah, very fluent. So stay tuned for that. When Safi hits 10K a month, I'll be catching a flight to Egypt and filming it. A case study. I
I
promised him
believe
that that'll happen.
I believe at one point in time he was doing appointment settings in in a submarine or something. I don't know
Yeah,
what that guy was doing,
yeah,
but
exactly.
inspirational.
100%. Taking interviews out in the Egyptian Navy. So again, shout
Yeah,
out to Safi. He's a real one. You guys will see a case time in the future, I'm sure.
yeah,
Um, but it's just another demonstration of not letting limiting beliefs hold you back. And even though I told him the expectations I just mentioned before already in this conversation, he's like, no, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take it by the balls and I'm going to do what's necessary. So
yeah,
if you're listening and it's a problem for you, overcome it and really seriously consider what
yeah.
reality you're willing to settle with.
And you probably guys don't know Safi, but he's in the RSA. And if you look at a guy like Safi, I believe he was in the Navy serving his country, something like that. And even being in all of that, it was illegal for him to even work at remote sales. He was not allowed by the Navy to work in the company. but he overcame all these obstacles in his way and he made it happen. He got after it. He understood that, look, it was going to be harder for him than the common person, but he didn't let that stop him from achieving success. And I believe today he's doing quite well for himself. So that's
Yeah,
just an example of, don't let things come in your way. Every person has their own challenges in life, but don't let your challenges stop you from getting to where you want to go.
absolutely. And there's a key takeaway there, which is that the mindset that I have, Rahul shares as well as all my other top clients, is that it doesn't matter the obstacle that's in your way, whether or not it's language, whether or not it's broken English, whether or not it's your lack of skill, whatever it is. If you have an intention to get what it is that you want, you need to understand that you need to have the mindset that you will run through brick walls to do it. You need to have an obsessive mentality because Rahul shares that. I share that. All my top clients share that. So if you're not already doing that, you need to be obsessive and you need to be the hardest worker in the room because, ladies and gentlemen, my next thing in high ticket sales, the bar is just so low for competition, for people that
Yeah.
actually try, put in the effort, and want to make it. I'm curious, in your time in the RSA and what you've seen from people in the high ticket sales space, like where do you think the bar is? Like, do you think people try hard enough? Do you think people want it bad enough? What are your thoughts?
I think a lot of people there are different groups of people in the high ticket sales space. I know there's a big group of people who are pushing every day. They're trying to push the bar higher and higher and higher. I've seen guys do, 40K a month, 50K per month, and those guys are crushing. But the majority of the guys who enter the high ticket sales space, they sit at 0, 1, 2K per month, and that's about it, right? And for a lot of guys, I think it's a lot of misinformation, just not knowing what to do, not having the correct guidance. And I think for those guys stuck at those levels, they need to understand a variety of different concepts when it comes to high ticket sales. Like a lot of people just starting out, they're under the misconception by these marketers that, look, I can get to 10K per month in the span of 2 months, and I'm gonna be in Thailand sipping beers on the beach. Like, it's not realistic. Don't be fooled by these internet marketers. There are so many of them out there selling the dream with high ticket sales. And I think Connor even reiterates this quite often, but getting to 10K per month in 2 months with high ticket sales, while some people might do it, it's not realistic. It's not the norm. And I think, Connor, you see this as well. A good timeline to get to 10K per month is about 6 to 12 months from just starting out, right? So don't be fooled by these internet marketers. Understand that getting to 10K per month is definitely doable, but there's a process to it, right? You can definitely achieve it, but there's a process one must go through, and you're not going to get there straight away. So what I would say, guys, is don't be fooled by these internet marketers. And if it was that easy, everyone would be at 10K per month, but not everyone's at 10K per month.
100%. So you think it's a combination of effort and expectations and
Yeah,
misinformation.
like a lot of people have, the wrong expectation when they come into sales. A lot of people are just under the impression, you know, I see ads that say, yeah, take 3, 4 sales calls a day, commission $500 per sale, close 4 deals a day, you're making $2,000 a day. Like that's utter nonsense. It's not going to happen straight off the bat. There's different stages you need to go through, and there are a lot of internet marketers out there who are fooling you. And I'd love to throw their names out right now, but I think Connor won't like that.
No, no. I mean, that's just not the type of guy that I am. There's many people that I could call out, but I just refuse to do so because it's just not what I want to represent and not what I'm about. But, you know, I would strongly advise to be cautious for those of you that are watching. Do your research. Has the person that you want to get guidance from, that you want to get mentorship from, that you want to do training with, have they actually achieved the transformation that you're looking for? Like, have they actually done what, they're talking about, right? Because very few actually have a high ticket sales base. Talk about it a lot, actually, which is
Yeah.
that in my belief, a good 95% of the high ticket sales space is terrible, and about
Yeah.
5% is it pretty good. It's not all bad. I'm not going to say that. No, 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 that'd be very biased. But
Mhm.
I've seen across the board. I've had clients come from many different training programs, beginners in the space. I've had Guys do other training programs and say that my YouTube channel is valuable over a $5,000-$6,000 course they've bought.
Hmm.
I've heard it all. I've seen it all from pretty much every single training program out there that helps beginners. And a lot of it is not great. Some of it is very good, but
Yeah.
very, very few is. So I really, really strongly suggest do your research, be skeptical, look into the person that you're looking to invest in. That's inclusive of myself. Watch all the case studies in the YouTube channel, do your research, have a look around because you'll find that there's very few people in the high ticket sales space that do actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And I think Connor, you can attest to this as well. When I was joining the RSA a little over a year ago, I think I had mentioned to you as well that look, we've spoken today. I'm speaking to like I think 6, 7 other different coaches. And I think Connor remembers this himself, but I spoke to like 7, 8 coaches because I was very cautious about who I was going to invest my money with, who I wanted to work with.
Yeah.
And I did my due diligence. I'm quite analytical when it comes to that. So I looked at 7 or 8 different coaches. I went through all of them. I saw what all of them was offering. And Connor even told me, I know you're gonna go through the different coaches, but you're gonna end up coming back to me. And I literally came back to him. And what I'll tell you guys with Connor is from what I've seen, he keeps it very real. The expectations are set very well. He tells you that, look, I'll get you to 10K per month. It's gonna be about 6 to 12 months. And from what I've seen, Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen the majority of students that you have get to 10K in 6 to 12 months. And the guys that don't get to 10K within that time frame, they just, don't show up to calls. They just suddenly disappear from the training. But the
Yeah.
guys who stick it through, they show up weekly to the calls, they ask questions, they're contributing to the community. I genuinely do see within 6 to 12 months, most of them get to 10K per month, right?
100,000%. It's a very good point that you've brought up there. With very, very, very high accuracy, the people that come to calls, ask questions, actually implement what I tell them to, 6 months to a year is statistically on average where I see that sweet spot is. Right. I
Yeah,
mean, think after filming this case study, we'll be around 25, 26 case studies. We've got
yeah,
Peter, well on the way for a great month. We've got Vange coming up for a great month. We've got Zen and Jax as well in the pipeline. They're expecting December. We've got a lot of guys coming through. And those people I've seen come to coaching calls, ask questions, ask for help. If you can do that, you will see the results you're looking for. But as I mentioned in every interview, the RSA is not a golden ticket.
yeah,
It kind of is, but you just have to use it. That's the whole thing, right? If you
yeah.
use it, you show up, you will get the results in the timeline you spoke about.
100%. And the thing is, I would say RSA is your golden ticket out. But what I will tell you is Connor will tell you exactly what you need to do to go from wherever you are to 10K per month. He will show you that roadmap. But the thing is, if you don't do the work on your own, he can't help you more than that, right? He will show you exactly what you need to do, but you need to want it bad enough to actually put in those efforts, follow what he says, and just stick to the plan, right? A lot of guys in the RSA, and I see it quite closely. I see a lot of guys just join. 2 months later, they just disappeared from the community. And what I say to those guys is you just don't want it bad enough. Because from what I've seen, the guys who stick it out, the guys who really want it, with all their life to get to that 10K per month, they make it. And I think Connor will show you that way, but you just have to trust him, put in the work, and you will get to where you want to go. And I vouch for him 100%.
100%. I appreciate that. And I know it is crazy, but it is that simple. Get a mentor, get a coach who's done successfully what you want to do and has achieved the transformation that you're looking for, and just pay the money and do what they tell you to do blindly. That's how I've gotten all the results that I've ever gotten in my life. And that's exactly what you've done as well. Every single time you've asked a question, I've given you a response. You implement exactly what I tell you to do. Same thing as a reflection of, when you were generating, I think somewhere in the YouTube channel, when you had like 17, 18 interviews in a week or
Yeah.
something like that, you took it very much to heart. I was like, you need to work on your offer acquisition. And so you went in and you worked on your personal brand and you implemented. right?
Yeah,
That is the direct correlation. Not only do you need to show up, but you need to implement. A book is only good as the information, as the person who's actually going to implement the advice in the book. If you just keep
100%.
mentally masturbating on information and this next secret, you're never really going to get the results you're hoping for.
Yeah, and what I will tell you guys as well that I'm heavily invested in stocks, crypto, and all these different investment classes. But what I'll tell you guys, the biggest ROI I've got to date is the RSA. I've multiplied my money so many times compared to what I've invested with Connor that it was the best investment I've made in my life, just mathematically and a return on investment perspective, right? There's so many multiples that I've made back from that one investment, which is just psycho to me. And every month that ROI just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Because for me, I've only invested in one sales training ever. I've only
Mm,
done one training, and Connor was the first mentor I ever invested in. And it paid off very well for me.
evidently the last. And so I strongly agree with that as well. And I resonate with that because for a lot of you that are watching, like you're a beginner, you've never made money online before. High ticket sales is the best place to start because you're going to learn skills. And if you're willing to back yourself, you know that you are disciplined and you can be focused and you can be committed. If you invest into yourself and your own skills, your earning potential can be quite literally limitless.
Yeah,
That's exactly how it's played out for me. That's how it's played out for Rahul. Because once you learn sales, you can learn countless other skills that accompany it and continue to add leverage and make more money and more money and more money. But as a young guy or a young person, if you're watching this, the best investment that you can make at a young age is going to be back into you, your skills, your beliefs, your network, because you are going to get a much more significant ROI exponentially to that compared of different investment options you can do in early age. First,
100%.
work on expanding your earning opportunity, and then you can use that cash that you can now bring every single month and cash every single month into other
Yeah.
investments. Don't start investing too early and invest into yourself as a priority. It was my recommendation.
100%. And, guys, what I would add to that is, if you were in a similar position to me, 2 years ago, where, you were just watching YouTube video after YouTube video, not being able to figure out online money, nothing really working for you. This is what I would have wanted to hear when I was just starting out. And I think you guys should trust me with this piece of advice because this is the advice that changed my life. So if you want to succeed in online money, this is how you're going to go for it. Number one, you're going to pick what vehicle you want to do. So what I mean by that is choose the business model you want to do, whether that's remote sales, drop shipping, SMMA, or whatever. I recommend remote sales because I have the most experience with that. The second thing you're going to do to succeed with online money is you're going to invest in a coach. If you don't have the money to invest in a coach, what you're going to do is find out how much that program you want to invest in costs. You're going to work a 9 to 5 and you're going to save up money until you have the full amount to invest in that coach. You're then going to take that money that you've earned, put it into a coach of your choice, and then trust that coach blindly and follow exactly what he says to the T. And I think by doing that, you will guarantee your success. But I wish someone told me that 2 years ago because I would have gotten to this point way faster. Today, I look back at 19-year-olds, making the same amount as me, and I wished I was making that much at 19.
So do
So,
I.
guys, so very simple, guys. Save up money, invest in a coach, trust the coach blindly, and get to where you want to go. That's the secret to success. If you don't have the money for the coach, get a 9 to 5, save up money, and invest there. I think that's the secret to it. And I think, Connor, you'd agree with that, right?
Absolutely. It is that simple. And if you don't have the money, become resourceful, right? You can always find money, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's lines of credit or whether it's borrowing money from people or selling things that you currently prioritize, but your priorities have changed. Um, Become resourceful because, again, a lot of my clients didn't have the money, but they found it. They sold cars, they did whatever they needed to that was necessary because they knew that for the short term sacrifice and the longer term thinking, they can exponentially grow, multiply their earning capabilities and they're going to have those skills for life because skills can't be taken away from you. They're not just given to you. You need to earn them. You need to have patience. You need to do repetition. You need to have time. And so if you learn enough skills, inclusive of sales, we're never going to go broke again. And, if you trust yourself, it's one of the best bets you can make. So
100%.
if we were to tie things off today, besides offer acquisition being incredibly important, like we spoke about, and talking about like this, how simple the process can really be, is there any other key takeaways or I guess words of advice you wanted to give people who are either in the high ticket sales space or looking to get into it?
So I want to give a piece of advice to beginners who are making zero right now, have been struggling to make money online and just not being able to figure it out. So guys, my piece of advice to you is I've been in the exact same position. I was in the same position where I would see guys on YouTube giving interviews just like this, right? Who make 10K per month, 20K per month, 30K per month. And I would sit at home at zero watching them succeed and I was doing nothing. And I used to feel rubbish about myself. But guys, what I want to tell you is you need to take control of your life, put it into your own hands, because the reason you're not where you want to be is because you don't have enough urgency. Tomorrow, if I told you I'm going to put a gun to your whole family's head unless you make 10K per month, you're going to do everything in your power to get to that 10K per month. So it's not that you don't know what to do, it's not that you cannot do it, it's because you don't have a strong enough why, and there's not enough urgency to do it. Why do I have to put a gun to your family's head for you to be able to make the money you want to make? Why can't you do it without that level of urgency, right? So for a lot of people, you can achieve what you want to do, but you're just not doing enough work. You don't have enough urgency behind it. So what I would suggest, guys, is find a strong enough why, and with that why, put an action towards your goals, and let's get it. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. I think the main reason most people prolong things is urgency and lack thereof it. So I completely agree. So guys, if you're inspired by the results that Rahul's gotten and you want to do something similar and, bridging off what Rahul just said before, you want to develop some urgency and you want to make things happen. And you know that this could be you 6 months to a year from now, right?
Mm.
A lot of clients message me all the time, is my aim and my objective and my goal is to be like those interviews that I saw on the YouTube channel. If your
Yeah.
aim and your goal is to be that, you aspire to do the same, you're inspired, then book a call. There'll be a link down in the description. There'll be a small form to fill out. You'll speak to me or my team about, replicating somewhat similar results that Rahul's gotten. If you want to make the changes, you have to take the steps. And the very, very, very small step is booking a call and having a conversation. It won't hurt. It's not going to be scary, right? It will be a big jump, especially if it's something that you've never done before. But unless you back yourself, nobody else will, which is, I think, is a really, really key piece to take from this interview.
And guys,
Yeah,
what I'll tell you is I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the community.
absolutely. And everyone's still there, right? All the OGs, all the guys from the case studies, you'll see them in there, right? People showing up on calls who are doing really, really well. They're all there. And
Yeah.
we've built a pretty special community there. So
And we're looking forward to seeing you guys.
absolutely. So sweet guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview and see you next one.
Yes, sir. See you guys.